Welcome to the channel. My name is Brian McRae and I'm a solo developer. Today I'd like to invite you with me on a journey to make a game. So I had this idea for a horror game. The game is going to be set in the Midwest, in the cornfields. Something that looks kind of like this. And the name of the game is going to be called either Scarecrow or Cornfield or The Farm, The Farmhouse, something like that. All right. The main villain, bad guy, the monster, is going to be a scarecrow. And these are some AI images I just kind of whipped up. And I really like what I was able to get. I'm using Leonardo AI. It does a really good job, I think. Some really good looks in here. I really like this guy. You can see the real eyes. I think what I want to go for is this idea that you can, if you lose, you become possessed by the scarecrow. You become the next scarecrow. The story is, this is what I have so far. You're driving along and you're going through these cornfields. It's 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And as you're driving, this beautiful farm girl is a hitchhiker. And you pull over to pick her up. And then she runs into the cornfield. And as you run after her, she's kind of being mischievous and teasing you and luring you further into the cornfield. And as you're doing that, you start seeing, the cross of the scarecrow, something like this. Now, mind you, I think when you're in the cornfield, you're not going to be able to see from above it. You're going to be inside of it. So the corn is going to be above your head, right? So it'll have this really cool claustrophobia sort of feel to it. And your job or your goal in the game is just to get out of this cornfield, just to find some kind of a way to do it. So that's what I have so far. You get in, you get stuck, you need to find a way out. And how do you do that? Okay? So what I want to do is I want to turn this into a game. I'm going to use Unity as my game engine. And I'm going to use Unity's HDRP to do it. So the high definition rendering pipeline. And I'm going to use a lot of the latest in lighting and all this kind of stuff. My goal is to make the game look like these images here. Extremely realistic, make it look like a movie. And I'm not expecting for this project to take a long time. The scope of the game is very focused, it's very small. I'm actually hoping to get this out by Halloween. So if I look at the calendar right now, it's the end of September, which gives me probably about a week or two to finish this thing. I'm going to see if I could do it. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a fun challenge, but I think I'm up to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started. So I'm painting just with the mouse, so bear with me. Let's do a top-down map of this whole thing. So here is this road that you're on. Okay. This is all cornfield out here. Maybe there's a farmer house out here with a barn. There's a silo. There's a little, kind of road that goes to that. There's, some trees kind of around this. And this is all cornfield in here. Let's put the scarecrow on a cross right here. So he's hanging here. This is him, by the way. He's a circle, these 2 dots. This is from above, so just bear with me here. And there's just all these rows of corn. All these rows of corn all the way through here. You love my mouse drawing? It's awesome, isn't it? And on the other side too, all corn. So you were driving. You're driving a cool 80s car because you're a college kid and the car that you had was older, so it was from the 80s. And you're going this way, you're listening to your cool tunes, whatever. And the girl is right here hitchhiking. And as you go by, you're like, whoa, hot girl. And then you stop, you park, you get out, and then she giggles and runs into the corn. You're like, oh, babe, I gotta find you. You were so hot. So then, you go after her. And then you turn around. When you turn around, there's just corn forever. So that's one thing we need to do is we need to be able to change. Maybe I'll do that in a different color here. we need to have some sort of a trigger right there. Okay, so we need some sort of a trigger that would change the environment right there. And so then this road goes away. And you're then stuck in here, right? Now, the other thing we're going to do is the scarecrow is going to just be in a different place. So you're going to then turn back around. Let's go back to white. You're going to turn back around, and now the scarecrow is not there. Maybe it's over here. And you're starting to get confused. You're starting to think, I'm getting all turned around. You're looking over here now, and you're like, wait, what? Maybe the girl's over here, and she's giggling, and she's luring you further. Luring, that's an interesting word. Luring you further into the endless cornfield of death, right? You just... Now, again, when you're in here, you can only see tops of things. So you could see clouds, you could see tops of trees, maybe the tops of buildings. The silo, for instance, might always be something that you could see. So you have some sense of where you are, but we're going to always change where the scarecrow is. Okay? Now it's basically on. The sun is starting to set, and you're wandering around. And as you're doing this, what we're going to do is we're going to have multiple locations. Now, these are going to be fixed locations where there's some sort of a ritual that happens, okay? Basically, you're coming across crop circles. And as you come across the crop circle, it's a clearing, and in the middle of the clearing is another one of these scarecrows. So every single one of these has a scarecrow in it, all right? They're all a little different, but you have a scarecrow in each one, okay? Now, when you're in here, it's going to be really hard to tell where they all are, so you're going to be looking for these crosses. So what you're looking for is the monster itself. And what's going to wind up happening, you're in this cornfield, and you can't get out. And there's these five, there's not three, there's 5 different clearings. Each clearing has a different scarecrow on it. And what happens is each of these has some sort of bizarre ritual that is happening. There's maybe candles out here, there's fire. There needs to be like some kind of a smoke that's coming up so that when you're looking at this from your vantage point, and there's all these are corn stalks, by the way, and you're in here and you see, scarecrow over here, you see some fire or some smoke rather kind of coming up. And then you know that something's going on over there. So that means you want to find a way to get that way. Now, I don't know if you could just make your way that way or if there's some sort of a maze that you need to go through to get there. Probably the maze route. I think that might be kind of cool. So sort of a Halloween thing. It's a Halloween tradition. You go out to these farms out here and then they have a little corn maze. You walk through it, pay a couple dollars. It's really cool. The corn mazes are usually made of bundled hay, but in this case, it's going to be corn stalks. I think that is, it's just going to be better. The leaves of the corn stalks, this is my corn stalk. These are my leaves. Sorry, I'm drawing all this with the mouse. All of these will be rustling in the wind, and I think they'll create like a really nice atmosphere as you're going through here. So, okay. So you could see that there's this going on. As soon as that's going on, you know that it's on. This ritual is happening. So what you need to do is you need to find a way to get over here and stop the ritual. And what'll happen is there's going to be some kind of a clue. There's going to be something you need to do there, some sort of activity. Okay. Let's just call that gameplay. Game play. Wow, that's scary in and of itself. So as you do that, you might turn around and you might see that there's a fire going up on this one. So there's a little bit of a whack-a-mole going on. You're essentially going to each of these and you're trying to put this one out, then put this one out, etc. The catch is that once the ritual is done, the scarecrow can get you. So as this is all happening, the scarecrows are all still pinned to these crosses that they're on. He is still on this cross. What you're going to be doing is getting and disrupting the ritual, which puts you closer to the enemy, right? And then the enemy can get you. Maybe we even do something where we say that the enemy can only move within the clearing. So once you do that, you're putting yourself in harm's way, but if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to beat the knight. So you have to do this. If the ritual finishes, and I think you never really know when the ritual might finish, I think that's going to be the scary part. The scarecrow of that area can get you. And then we'll see what happens. I got some ideas. What happens after you get captured. But let's not worry about that right now. Let's talk about what we're going to do this week. We have this idea. This is our game design document right here. This is everything that we need to make our game. Let me open a new document. And this time, it's way too bright. This time, let's talk about what we're going to do this week and how we're going to do it. So, first of all, number one, we need a cornfield. Cornfield. Okay? That's the most important thing. Number two is we need clearings. Clearings. And number three, I want to feel this ritual mechanic. Mech. Yeah, okay. I think those are the three things, because all of this will create a loop. Meaning, you could be in here, you could run around, you could do your thing, you can find these clearings, we have the ritual mechanic in, and then you can get caught. I guess we should add that too. Let's, redo. Let's redo. Shift C, okay. We're gonna undo here. So actually, I'm going to add a fourth in here to finish the loop. We need the jump scare / capture. Jump scare / capture. Okay. So, this is a lot to do for 1 week, but I think I could do it. The cornfield can be procedural. The clearings could be part of how we create the cornfield, and I have some ideas for that. And then the ritual can just be some lights and some particles going off at certain times. And then the jump scare is everything that has to do with the scarecrow coming off and capturing you. And I think what's nice here is I don't think I need to do a whole running animation, intricate movement animations on these scarecrows. I think less is more when it comes to the monster movement. And I think the monster movement, it needs to have that uncanny valley. It needs to feel awkward. Let's go back to our reference here. Let's pick one of these guys as our stand-in for our monster. Now, we're going to have to model all of this in ZBrush probably. I might start with an existing model and morph it into this. But the face is going to be key because it's probably going to be the cover of the feature art. Something like this might be the cover art. It's got the it obviously sets the feel. We're in October or we're in the fall. The sun is setting, so you know that maybe night will be coming. It's definitely the Midwest because of the flat land. There's no mountains in the background. You have this farmhouse out there. You have some trees. And there's a lot going on here with the character that I really like too. I like how you could see some of his hair. I like how you can see his eyes. It looks like there's somebody trapped inside of there, and he is not happy. The other thing that I like is how the mouth is sewn up. I think that is really important for the story of the game, is that his mouth. So this one is more chaotic, and this one works well too, actually, because You could see that there's a face in there, or there's a person in there. It looks like real eyes. They look a little bit off, but still look real, but the mouth is sewn up, but it's more chaotic. Maybe in this case, it's not sewn up. Well, no, it looks like it is kind of sewn up. It's just more chaotic. This guy, the eyes are really scary on that. That is a scary one. This guy doesn't seem, he's good too. I'd be happy with any of these, to be honest with you. If I could get the model to look this good, I'd be really happy. So anyway, that's what's going on. Now, I have some ideas as to the 5 different scarecrows. I'm thinking that maybe they are a family that has been cursed and are in here. So we might have the dad, we might have the mom, a teenage boy who works the farm, maybe a couple of kids, something like that. So, and then there's the girl. The girl that lured you, I believe, is a ghost. And she is in cahoots with these scarecrow. She is the lure, and you're being fed to these. That's what I got. That's my crazy horror story. You gotta find your way out of this before. Well, how about we do this actually? Because we can have a time of day cycle, and we could have the time of day end at midnight or something like that. Maybe it starts at 4 p.m. and maybe it goes all the way to 5 a.m. and then the birds start chirping and the sun comes back up and then everything is back to normal, but then you're still sort of stuck. That could be cool, because during the day, maybe something else that we do is we add some little crates in here, some objects, like, what's not crates? What do you have on a farm? You have little supply caches, and in these supply caches are little tools, little trinkets, candles or flashlights or protein bars, if we want to get into food and survival and all of that. Maybe there's clues. But what's nice is now we have something that we could randomize as well. So there's a lot we could randomize here. We have this maze component that we could randomize. And maybe we even randomize it on the fly, who knows? But we could at least do that for every run, is we could change that. We can randomize the position of these supply caches. We could randomize the position of the clearings. So I think Dungeon actually might be able to do the job here, because that system, wait for my Unity to wake up here, but the system here definitely has these specialty rooms that we can convert into clearings. And then there's hallways and stuff between there. So what we're going to do is maybe we'll even keep the collision, but we're going to dress this up to look like you're in a cornfield. So we're going to plant a whole bunch of cornfields in each one of these things. And also what's nice about that is when you're in here, we could do some really heavy-handed culling, meaning that we could turn all the other parts of the cornfield off that you're not around, because you're only able to see so far. You can only see when you're in here. Let's see. When you're in here, you can only, and remember, you're not going to be able to see. You're not going to be able to see from above it. You're not 7 feet tall. Corn is really tall. If you didn't know that, corn can get tall. And me, I'm not an especially tall person. I'm 5'10" and a half. So you got to put that half in there. When you're under 6 foot, every little bit counts. So anyway, it might look a little bit like this when you're looking down a tunnel. Obviously, it's going to turn and curve and whatnot. There's going to be right angles, I think. And then in other times, it's just going to be really heavy, a little bit like that. So I think that'll work. Let's go back to Photoshop. Let's do more planning. We need to plan. Okay, so that's how we'll do our cornfield and our clearings, is we'll use Dungeon. In fact, but this is great. If we're using Dungeon for this, everything else is just background art. So essentially the farm and the distance that you see. Now remember, we're the Midwest, so that the most we're going to get is rolling hills and some trees in the distance. They could all be cards. They could all be like really low-res objects, which is great. We could have a really high frame rate, even though it looks like there's a million things in here. Each one of these sections will have all of that corn, and we'll turn all the other ones off. So this is going to be great. Then we have these clearings, which we could dress up. So we only really need to make 5 rooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the modules that build up the dungeon, there's only going to be a handful of those, because there's going to be either a straight, a left or a right turn, a T intersection, and maybe even a cross section or a 4-way section or something like that. So we just need to make 1, 2, 3, 4 hallway pieces, and then we need to make 5 rooms. So really easy scope comparatively to a lot of other projects I've worked on. All right. Now, here's what we're not going to worry about. We're not going to worry about the road. We're not going to worry about the car. We're not going to worry about the girl. I think all of that is the setup, and that could be a different sprint. I know we could get all that working. That's a lot of just, essentially a nice cinematic. We could make some of that interactive, but most of it will just be art-driven. And I think it's going to turn out great. Doing cinematics is something I have a lot of experience with, thankfully. So I'm very confident that I could get all that to work really well. So yeah, I think the main thing is just to find the fun, make it scary, do the game loop, get this jump scare. I think another thing I'm going to have to put in here is sound. So for sound, I'm going to be using Fmod. I've adopted Fmod in the last year on some other projects I got going on, and I love it. It really helps me focus. When I'm working on sound, I could really focus on sound and get the ambient sound design working just great. So I'm excited. All right, let's get going on this. I'm going to focus first on the top of the list, and we'll go from there. All right, well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support this channel or project, please join the mailing list for this game over on my website. The details and link are listed below. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, be sure to design, develop, test, repeat.